Hello, I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Caroline, and we're interior designers. More and more people are asking us about what we do and how we do it.
Which brings us to our new design adventure, the Design Duet. Join us as we discuss the ins and outs and the ups and downs of interior design. Welcome to the Design Duet for 2025. Today we're going to talk to you about an exciting business that's been around for a long time, but we thought we'd get the owner in, or one of the three owners in, to tell us more about the business. It's called Lights, 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 and it's a family-owned and very unique business. It offers more than just selling lights. It assists you with advice on the right lighting for your space.
And it's more of an experience when you visit their showroom, as the team consider lights bring life.
Hello, welcome. It's lovely to have you here, Danielle. We're very excited, Caroline and I. You are also our first episode for the year.
Oh, thank you.
So welcome, Danielle from Lights, 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 which is a lighting company in Moonee Ponds in Melbourne, Victoria. It's a kind of a unique lighting store, and we're going to find out about that. So let's begin. We're going to talk to Danielle about lighting trends for 2025.
Thank you for having me.
We're just so excited.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Okay, Danielle, so here goes. Tell us a little bit about yourself and also about your company.
So Lights, Lights, Lights has been around for 17 years. We were founded in 2008. There are three of us that own the business. I come from an organisational psychology background and knew nothing about lighting when I moved into the industry. I worked with one of my now business partners in his previous lighting businesses, and I worked in an environment whereby I ran the business from an organisational perspective. So I was working with the people and the function of the business. It was never to work with the product. But a week into the industry, I fell madly in love with lighting.
Of course you did.
I just fell in love with it.
We love it too.
Yeah, I mean, I love the human element of it. When I worked in organisational psychology previously, I was working in the fashion industry. So I saw the fashion in lighting. It was always very pragmatic, the way it was sold, but I just visualised it so differently. I saw it in seasons, I saw it in colour, I saw it in elegance. And so when we started the business, we set this vision to offer that type of lighting or that type of perception of lighting and to show it in a different light. Wow. So we started the business 17 years ago. We celebrate our birthday in April. We are a space whereby you come and we talk light. We don't talk product. We talk what light does, how it makes you feel. We focus heavily on the human-centric element of lighting. So it's more than just coming in and buying a product. It's coming in, discussing with us who you are, how you want to live in your space, and then we light that accordingly. I mean, our elevator pitch has always been, we tell the story of a build with light. We tell the story of your bricks and mortar, the space, the hard surfaces. We tell the story of that room, how you want to feel in that space with light.
Fabulous.
So do you think that's what sets your lighting business apart from other lighting companies?
That's definitely been our mission. So I hope that's how it's perceived. It's definitely been our mission to connect emotion to the product.
And you're probably one of the first companies in Victoria to do that?
Yeah, I would say definitely. When we started in the business, there were so many roadblocks on it because everything was price oriented and the industry was very guarded and there were no conversations.
Yes.
I'd come from fashion where everyone talked about everything and it was a community. It was tough, but people connected on fabric and production and staff and all of those kind of topics. In lighting, that didn't exist 18 years ago.
I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
So what exactly, as a lighting specialist, what is your role and how does it differ from a standard, supplier or an electrician, for example, which over 17 years ago is probably who we would go and see and get some help from?
The point of difference for us is really that we look at lighting from a very holistic tone. And it's not to say that electricians don't, because they are the gods of our industry
Yes.
and they are my favourite group of people to
Of
work
course.
with, above and beyond designers, architects, all of them. I love working with tradesmen. I love working with people tradespeople.
Yes.
I love working with tradespeople. They're the core of the industry. They're the ones that hold the product and have to actually bring the vision to life.
Yes.
But what we do is we connect the right product to the space and to the people. So when a client comes to us and they're lighting their bedroom, we're not just offering them a product to light the bedroom. We're talking about what they do in there, what are the colours, what are the surfaces. We're considering all of the holistic elements of the space and then offering them product accordingly. So I guess that's what sets us aside, just the holistic nature at which we handle what we do. Also that we draw from over 200 suppliers.
Wow.
So huge.
We're like, I like to shop at the Lab in Carlton. It's this fantastic little skincare shop, and they have a multitude of different brands. And when you go there to buy skincare product, you don't buy everything from the same brand. You buy what fits the purpose of your skin from a particular brand here and a particular brand there. We're like that in lighting. We have all of these wonderful brands. You come to us and we don't pick one brand and fill your house with it. We're very custom in nature and we draw from all different areas to ensure that, it's suitable for your intention and the vision of your space.
So can anyone come into your store, or is it mainly for designers, or is it for general public?
Anyone can come into our store. You need to make an appointment. And the only reason for that is that we want to offer clients the opportunity to really enjoy, the right fit for their project. So we like to get an understanding of what you're after and what you're wanting, what your intention for the visit is, and then we connect you with your perfect match designer and they'll talk you through the different options and solutions.
So if your client is renovating or building, do you discuss budget straight off before you go into actually what's best for them in their house with lighting?
Yeah, it's a tricky question. I want to say yes and no. I think the first thing I talk about is them. We talk about what the needs of the project are and how they want to feel in their space, whether it's a commercial space or a residential one. Beyond that, we go into an education on how that can be achieved. And then we talk through the price points at which will vary according to what product we select. So we try and understand what the vision is first. The undertone of budget is vital because it guides us.
Yes.
But it's not everything. Because sometimes, for example, buying a product like a wall-mounted uplighter might cost you in excess of, or maybe around about $1,200. But you might only need one in a room instead of 6 downlights and 6 installation points. So the product itself might cost you more, but the installation might be better.
Yes.
So there's a greater discussion that sort of has to happen before we can get to the nitty-gritty of how we meet the needs of that budget.
And people like you have the knowledge to pass on to just the everyday person coming in who probably has no idea about that sort of stuff.
Correct. And again, that's what sets us aside. We don't just know product. We know how product fits in a space. We have a bit of an understanding of how much it will cost to install it. And we also understand sustainably how it's going to impact your electricity bills moving forward.
Fantastic. And also, speaking about, if it was a wall sconce, for example, how that almost becomes your piece of art.
Absolutely.
Instead of having, and so that $1,200, as you talked about, which is just an example, is your piece of art in the room. And it could be just that one piece on the wall.
Correct.
So I love that. It's fantastic. So lighting has become so much more sophisticated than ever. So, and people are absolutely increasing, looking at and discovering and, via Instagram, magazines, etc., and recognising that the impact and the look of special lights is going to make their house feel so much different. And so I'm going to say to you, how have you seen this shift in this way that people look at lights?
Look, it's been delightful. In some ways for us, it hasn't been a shift because it's always been how we've done lighting. Right. So for us, for 20 years, and for my business partner who owned his businesses previously and my other business partner who worked with him, it's always how we've done lights. So for us, it's quite normal. But to see that, it's been represented in this manner and been respected for the capability that it has. The way it is now is, it's fantastic. I say spread the word.
I say spread the love too.
Yeah.
It's been a passion of mine, I must say, in doing interior decorating and design work for, over 20 years now. It's certainly been something that I would start with the majority of my jobs. And I definitely have seen the shift in the last 10 years. I can say to a client, I start with lighting and they're on board with that. Whereas beforehand it used to be, I would like to talk about my sofas, my armchairs, my dining table, and then window furnishings perhaps, and then lighting. But now I've turned it round and the majority of my clients will absolutely look at lights first, which I love and adore because if they spend that in their budget first to begin with, I'm happy about that too.
Yeah, look, it's a fixed object. It's fixed and it doesn't matter what you change in your soft furnishings, it's still going to enable beauty and comfort or functionality depending on what the intention was.
Definitely.
But I have to ask, do you think that one of the reasons it's changed, I guess, is because just hearing you, like you've been designing for so many years, people are spending more and more and more money and more time on choices of stone and choices of flooring and choices of paint colour. It's become a very poignant part of building as opposed to the black, white, grey, beige days. And who's spending all that money and time and energy on that part of the process and they're not lighting it accordingly? You've wasted your time if you don't.
Definitely. But I think people are better educated now too. So you go into someone's house and they're already saying, look, I know that corner's dark over there, probably need a wall sconce. Like, can you source an appropriate wall sconce? People know now. They're just better educated.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe that's social media.
Yeah, a little bit. And I think also people have become more about themselves, especially for all of us during COVID. But I think people now recognise their home as their own space. And as a result, that this is what I feel I like. This is how I want to have, what I want to have in my house.
Yeah.
And so as a result of that, I feel like the lighting has become such a big part because it can be the one item that's left on, during the day and at night. And that actually is the highlight of the room. And I often find a lot of my clients saying to me, I've looked at your website, I'm coming to you because the first thing that I noticed in all of your homes that you've done, houses that you've done, properties, the lighting is the key. And that's why I've come to you.
Lighting is movement. So if you're building a house and it's solid, whether it's glass, bricks, timber, whatever it is, they're solid surfaces. Without light, you have no texture, you have no dimension, you have no movement. So it's beyond vital to get it right. So I think the education has increased, but I think what you say, Carolyn, is so important also that homes are our safe space. In Australia, we're known to entertain at home a lot. So we want our spaces to feel warm and comforting, and there's a huge push to working from home still in Australia, particularly in Victoria. So being at home and spending more time there requires more love for the space.
Yes, well, you're looking at those walls.
Correct.
24/7.
Correct.
There's been a strong move away from relying solely on recessed downlights towards layered lighting. Can you explain what layered lighting is and why it's become so important in home design?
Yeah, again, I'll say it's always been important to us. It's been something that we've always done. It's something that is probably more valued now, though, because people have lived under recessed downlights alone and realised how bad it is. It's horrendous. It is killing your brain.
Absolutely.
It is hurting your eyes.
All of the above.
It's just awful.
I agree.
Thomas Edison never anticipated that the single 100-watt bulb in the centre of the room would be replaced by a bunch of downlights recessed into a ceiling to light the floor. The halogen bulb was released and designed to offer nearly 360 degrees of light. So light would travel around the room in a lateral manner to give opulence and warmth, and then you would use lamps to highlight spots. Something shifted when halogens became available, and everyone was like, let's get rid of the bulb and let's recess these into the ceiling, not considering that the light didn't hit a surface. It wasn't actually creating volume. It wasn't lighting anything except the floor. And by the time the light hit the floor, you lost all the intensity. I could talk about this for days, but
I can imagine.
layered lighting is so vital because it helps to create the movement and the texture that we're just talking about. Layered lighting allows me to highlight an artwork. It allows me to create warmth from a wall-mounted uplighter. It allows me to pin spot something. It allows for function. It allows your brain to work with the room and the space according to how you're living in it at the time. So, for example, somebody who's working from home might need directional lighting above their table whilst they work. But in the evening, once they're there with their children, they might not want that directional lighting. They might want something that's a little glare-free and soft in the background and indirect.
Yep.
So by layering the lighting, you're giving yourself that flexibility.
So you've probably answered my next question, which was going to be talking about what is one area in the house where lighting is maybe overlooked, and how can you choose the right lighting to improve that function and also maybe even the atmosphere?
I'm going to be controversial right now and say children's rooms.
Okay.
Often I'm a super proud mum, and often we'll receive plans, and the plan that, the client or the designer will be like, let's put all the emphasis on the living. This is the initial discussion until they talk to me and listen. But the conversation starts with, let's just put all the emphasis on these areas and we'll just pop 4 downlights in the children's rooms, for example.
And
I get it, but I get it, right? So when budget's involved, I understand it seems like the easy scenario until we talk about what's actually happening in those rooms. What do we want for our children? What do we want for those neural pathways? 4 downlights. If we have to do 4 downlights, let's pop 2 in front of the robe and let's pop 2 on a wall. Let's not have any so that the child's eyes are impacted by those lights. Let's direct them onto a surface.
So true.
A child's room and the way that their brain is developing at a far more rapid rate than my middle-aged brain. I won't say us. So we want to protect that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's vital. I look at my daughter's room and I've always been so proud of how I've lit that to shape and form her natural circadian rhythm patterns. It's one area that I feel really passionate about. And when I studied, the development of the eye when I did my thesis years ago and in the womb, and I was pregnant at the time, and that story for me is something that stuck with me forever. The development of the eye happens in the womb, but as we grow, the connection between the eye and the brain is something that we nurture with artificial lighting. So I think a children's room should be something that we consider with a lot more intention.
That's so interesting. What did you actually do in your daughter's room, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it's not finished. This because I've just moved into my new
home.
We saw that.
But I have 2 directional downlights on her robe. I'm still awaiting the doors of the robe to be installed. And then I have a wall light that's being installed at the front of her bed, and she uses a book light for reading.
Beautiful.
She also has a beautiful lamp that she can turn on and off if she wants to. But her room would be, it's big. It's nearly 4 by 4, and she has 2 downlights on her robe that offer, I think, about 1,300 lumen each. So it pings where her wardrobe is and where all of her product is, her toys, her Barbies, her books. And then there's the softness from the wall light, which is yet to be installed but on its way from Italy. And
of course.
And then she has a little book light that she uses intentionally when she reads. So there's nothing at her bed that's engaging her eye.
Yeah, lovely.
It sounds ideal.
And it's not fussy and it's not necessarily expensive. It's just clever and intentional.
Yes. I like that. Okay, here we are. What's the biggest lighting mistake you've seen in people's homes, and how can it be avoided?
Other than the obvious, which is a grid of downlights everywhere. No.
Airport.
Like you're at the dentist.
Jarlsberg ceiling, you're impacting your neural pathways, the way you're engaging light is glary, it's frustrating, your eyes are all squinty. Apart from that, I would say the one thing that really irks me, and both of my business partners, we have a bit of a running tally on how many times we've seen this, it's a floodlight above a garage door. Look, there's a million things I could tell you, but a floodlight above a garage door really irks me when you drive past this gorgeous home that's been architecturally designed, and then above the garage door is a big floodlight.
Why is that?
Why?
For the dingo or
Look,
for
it's
the
just a
possum?
It's just a thing that started happening around the time of Allergen downlights, and then it just kept happening. And
1990s, early 2000s?
I feel like 1990s, early 2000s we started to really push away from it, but it was just part of the design and construct industry, and they just always positioned one there. And when I would battle that conversation with clients, they'd say, "Oh, how will I get into the garage?" They were so perplexed, and I'm like, "Well, for starters, your headlights will be on. When you drive into the garage, we have a sensor in there, so the garage light will turn on.
Voila.
And we have beautiful little garden spikes lighting the driveway as you enter. Why would you ever need a floodlight out there?"
Yes.
So, that's just one.
I'm sure if we drive around now, we'll still see floodlights
100%.
on garages.
I think about it a lot.
That's hilarious.
My evening walks.
I love it. Now tell me, what are any of the lighting trends emerging for 2025 that excite you? Because I'm sure you see it all and, it's always in front of you and, you travel a lot. I know that.
Yes.
Instagram magazines. But what is something so exciting that you've seen recently?
Oh, look, I'd have to say the most exciting thing for me that is, look, our voice has been very strong on it, and I've really elevated my pitch on it of late because I feel so strongly that the world needs to know it's human-centric lighting. It's not about what you pick. It's how you pick it and how it connects to a space. It's the psychology that happens when you interact with a light in an area, how it shapes the way that you perceive the area, then shapes your thoughts and then shapes your behaviours. That transforms the way you live in a home or work in a space. So for me, our audience is loving this content, and it's not content, it's education, it's science. It's bigger than how sexy a new light is. It really is. And it's, the light itself is secondary to picking the right fit for the space. In saying that, I'm going to Salon Air in April.
Terrific.
No doubt we'll come back with, colours that we're seeing and textures, and I'm like beaming with excitement about it. Can't wait to see what's coming out, because the last Salon, although it was amazing, it was the first one out of COVID. And to be fair, there weren't an enormous number of new releases because it was a tough time, I think, for Italy, just coming out of the battles that they'd faced, the increases in cost with raw materials. We saw a lot of new, but not like we had in the past.
Sure.
And I feel like this year's it. I feel it's going to be big.
How many fairs have you been to?
So I think I've done 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wow. How can homeowners make their lighting both beautiful and energy efficient without sacrificing style?
Enlist a lighting designer from Lights to support you. Apart from, intentional lighting. Consider how much light you need and light intentionally. That's not put a pendant over a table and 4 down lights around it because we're not sure it's going to give you enough light. Let's do the research before.
Yes.
Figure out your reflectances, understand the intention of the space, and always, every day, all the time, always light with intention. It won't impact your style. In fact, it will add to your flair. It's not about the symmetry of how lights are placed. It's about the why behind their placement and their selection.
And someone like you will get the lumens right.
Absolutely. Well, provided I have the right information about the space, the right reflectances, all of those things, and we know our product. So of those 200 suppliers, we don't specify things we haven't tested in our dark room or touched or pulled apart, broken, put back together.
Yeah.
We install what we understand. We suggest what we understand, and when we don't understand it, we mock it up. We figure it out.
Right.
We set things up in our dark room so we understand roughly how it's going to illuminate to emulate the look and the vision that we're trying to achieve. Yeah, so just be intentional.
Okay.
So we have noticed a lot of people have been employing lighting specialists now, and it's a big thing. And even with amongst my peers, our peers, it's talked about now, which is fantastic because, we have a big job as interior designers and making sure that we're getting everything right in a home. But to have the knowledge and to know everything about lighting, about furniture, about fabrics, impossible.
Absolutely.
Like we can all be honest with one another and say, if it is, a very well thought out property and a big part of their home is lighting, absolutely, why not use a person who actually understands it more than yourself.
And I think many years ago when we were just dealing with, I don't want to say just because it's still my favourite way to light a space, but when we were just dealing with incandescent and halogen lamps, it was a lot easier to consider what light might be suitable for a space. But no two LEDs are the same.
No.
And 90% of our lighting is LED, if not 99. They're all different. And if you don't understand the technical nature of the product and how it's going to interact with the other fittings that you have in the house, how it will light, the quality of the chip, the colour. Just because it says it's 3,000 Kelvin doesn't mean that it's the same 3,000 Kelvin as what you have in your other fittings.
Mm-hmm.
Without that knowledge, you can't really pull that together. You need the expertise. And I think, another reason that sets us specifically aside is because we really understand that.
Well, we go to the dentist for their, specialised view on all their years of training and expertise. We go to the dentist for their advice on our teeth. Why wouldn't we do it for lighting?
Correct.
So much nicer too, lighting
so
over the
much
dentist,
nicer.
as we all know.
Yeah, I choose lighting every day of the week over the dentist.
So if someone wants to get their lighting right from the start, whether they're renovating, downsizing, whatever it may be, what would be the key thing that they should probably focus on even before they begin their journey? Because not everybody is going to employ an interior designer, a lighting specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So, the average person, is there a tip that you would give them?
Ask yourself how you want to feel in every room.
Great
Stand
answer.
in every room like it's the only room of the house.
Yeah.
And think about how you plan to live in that room and light it according to how you want to live in the room.
I think that's a perfect answer. And your mood, how you want your mood to feel.
It is all about the feels, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your home.
I think that's absolutely perfect. Take that on board any day.
Well, you've had a long career, and I wanted to ask you what's been the most exciting project of your career and the most challenging project of your career.
It gives me goosebumps when you just asked me that question. I literally just got goosebumps on my arm. Picking my favourite project would be like picking a child.
Yeah.
Oh.
I only have one, so that's easy for me. It's a really tough one. I would say that my favourite projects have been the ones where I have had the opportunity of working with a cohesive team on a common goal.
Yeah.
Every project that I've worked on where we have worked together with the electrician, the architect, the designer, the end user, and I've worked with the decision makers have given me life. I recently just did that on my own home, and being in the team and on top of the team was one of the most empowering experiences of my life. I felt joy in every aspect, and I had this ability to let go in a way that I don't think I ever have before, because I really value the end product, even when it's not perfect, because I've worked with a team that I've loved working with. And there was one project I worked on during COVID that went for maybe 5 years. It was in Blairgowrie with some of my favourite people in the world. And it was a long project and there were lots of ups and downs, but I happened to have had the opportunity to live in the house as a gift from the clients for 5 nights after the project was completed. The feeling of being in a space once you've worked with a team who just all had a common goal. They worked through the challenges together and was better than any light I could have installed or any design I could have created. That's how I'll answer that question.
I like it.
Yep. Well, that's a
Makes
beautiful
sense.
gift.
Yeah.
What a beautiful gift for a client to give you.
Phenomenal.
And, then you truly know that they are absolutely thrilled with the end result.
Absolutely.
And I honestly I think you were going to say your own home. And we always say it in a lot of our podcasts that our own is often the hardest to do. And, we definitely say to one another, okay, give it to me. Which one is it? Because I cannot decide.
The emotions there. I have to say this journey with mine has been, I expected to feel this way, but I felt so strongly about how I wanted to just lead with love on it.
Yeah.
And it is an imperfect space because it's a renovation. It's not a pristine, perfect square, but I really leaned in on the imperfections of it, so I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And on the other end of the scale, the projects that I haven't enjoyed working on are the ones where the team hasn't been cohesive.
Okay.
That's a battle. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard it's not hard to educate, but it's a process. And educating the client and seeing the client feel so valued and so empowered by knowledge, but then going to site, not necessarily being able to deliver that to the people on site, and then that knowledge not being valued and executed, that will forever get under my skin. But that's part of the journey of working in the building industry, and particularly in Australia. It's very different in Europe, I feel. The level of respect for knowledge is building in Australia.
Without
but
a
we're
doubt.
a very young industry.
Yes.
Our labour costs are very high. Like there's so many factors that can be a challenge. It's hard for all of us.
Yeah. Well, we would say the same in
Without
our
a doubt.
industry. You know, you want everyone to agree with what you're thinking and feeling and understanding with the space.
Yeah.
Doesn't always translate that way.
Correct.
Does it?
So true.
Or at least be transparent and
Yes.
open to the conversations, because I don't know, there's a lot of decision makers really.
Yeah,
Well,
very true.
Danielle, we're going to say thank you so much for being part of our first podcast of the year. You are a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
What you have talked about today doesn't even touch the surface.
No.
You know, when you go into your brain from, you know, when you started to now, like it's phenomenal and exceptional. And
Thank you.
like it would be an absolute joy, I'm sure, for all your clients for you to work with them and them to work with you.
Thank you.
And you clearly just give so much to each and every team member that works for you and to your clients. So it's just been delightful to have this chat with you.
I'm blessed to love what I do, and I'm blessed to work with the people, the community that I have. And I love how we've helped shape the connection pieces in design. I feel really proud of that because, like I said, 18 years ago, you would know, Carolyn,
absolutely,
it was a very guarded industry and no designer would talk to another designer. Look at us. We're sitting at a table sharing information. That's pretty special.
It's pretty special, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Danielle.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to get in touch, email us on thedesignduet@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram page, The Design Duet.